journey to cold water quite safely.
Johnny, it's been a delight to talk to you this morning. I would love to talk to you more about your wild food, but we don't have time at the moment. But can I get you on again? Would that be all right?
Absolutely. But yes,
lovely.
if I can just mention the January Daily Dip, and you can go on any social media, hashtag January Daily Dip 2022 or Crisis UK. It's just an amazing charity that we can all make a huge difference.
Johnny, you've been lovely. Thank you so much for dipping your toes in for me this morning. You'll be able to see Johnny's Daily Dip on our Facebook page. Have a look there by searching for BBC Radio York on Facebook. Now, it's coming up to 7:45. We'll get some weather from Katerina Christodoulou. Morning, Kat.
Good morning, Georgie.
Can you believe that? It was in a bit of water, of cold water, talking to me.
No, I couldn't even imagine it this time of the morning. Oh my gosh. Footballers do that, don't they, after the exercise? Joe Wicks does it often because I follow him.
Yeah.
And he says it's the most painful thing ever.
Yeah.
He doesn't like it.
Oh. Are we going to have some painful weather this morning? Are we going to like what you've got?
Oh, actually not. It's going to be lovely out there today. So we've got this area of high pressure still in charge. I think a very similar day to yesterday. So we're going to have variable amounts of cloud with bright and sunny intervals through the course of the day. Those winds are going to be very light as well. And we're looking at highs today of around 8 degrees, which is just above average for this time of the year. So into tonight, it will stay dry with variable cloud and some lately clear spells. Our temperatures tonight will to around 4 degrees. Then into tomorrow morning, a chilly start to the day, misty and foggy too. I think that mist and fog may linger for a little while through the morning. Once it does clear away, another set of day similar to today, a mixture of cloud with some sunny intervals, and highs tomorrow of around 6 degrees. So Saturday, I think that there's going to be more cloud around, so overcast through the afternoon, and Sunday at the moment looks so bright through the morning, so cloudy through the morning, and a good chance on a Sunday afternoon things will brighten up.
Oh, that's something to look forward to then, Kat. Thank you very much, Katerina Christodoulou, with your weather this morning. It's 7:45. You're listening to BBC Radio York. It's Georgie at breakfast, and BBC Radio York's Julia Lewis has gone to the dogs today. It had to happen. There's George, there's Sharp, there's Sid, there's Cody, there's Dude, and Care Bear. They're just some of the cats and the dogs looking for a new home in North Yorkshire. You can find all about them on the website for York Harrogate District Branch of the RSPCA. I've been having a look and I've checked out Stanley and Donut. BBC Radio York's Julia Lewis is meeting some of them at the RSPCA's animal home in York this morning. Morning, Julia.
Morning, Georgie. Yeah, we're both the same, aren't we? We spend most of our time on dog rehoming websites.
We do.
Well, I know we do. If I come home without one today, it's going to be an absolute miracle. I am next to one of the long banks of kennels here this morning. And you know, there is this hilarious note whiteboard in front of me. And so the dog's obviously one of the most popular animals for pets. But on the whiteboard, there's all these other animals. There's birds, mice, gerbils, guinea pigs. But the names of the guinea pigs really made me laugh. So there's Marmalade, Chutney, and Piccalilli.
Oh,
If you want to adopt a guinea pig. It's really quite sweet. We'll probably go and meet them later on at the preserves, I think we call them. But let us talk to Ruth McCabe, who is the centre manager. So this is reasonably quiet, I gather, at the moment, isn't it, Ruth? What's happening at the moment then?
Yes. Well, all the staff are just arriving in the morning, so the dogs can hear us. They know that we're here. So we're all sort of waking up in the night and getting a little bit excited. So we're just about to start sort of letting them out from their inside kennels, which they're in overnight, which is on the inside, where it's nice and warm. So we'll let them out through into their outside rooms. That's when things start to get a lot more noisy.
Right, okay. So, can you release the hounds, please? So in terms of numbers, how many dogs have you got at the moment?
We've got roughly around 30 dogs in at the moment, and that's sort of as our capacity really. We've got a mixture. We've got a mixture of sort of adult dogs down to some young dogs. We haven't got any puppies in at the moment. We've got all different types.
So, yeah, let's look at the ones that are quite risky, so the two Akitas, aren't they? Which are quite a large dog. They're friendly, aren't they? Quite vocal, aren't they? But, I mean, we're saying, Georgie, you won't have to smaller dogs, but it's smaller ones that take like that.
We have, yeah. We get a mixture of dogs. We get a lot of large breed dogs, but we do get smaller breed dogs in as well.
is not just about self-confidence, but the confidence we might have in something bigger than ourselves. Seeking a relationship with divinity or a connection to a greater cause can generate confidence through a sense of support and protection. This confidence, according to Google's, can in turn help us to sustain our enthusiasm. The final attitude is patience. The capacity to accept and tolerate our circumstances without seeing the immediate results of our endeavours. Patience, combined with confidence, provides the perspective of life to see that things might not always turn out the way we want them to, the time frame of hope, because the sacred universe of process is driven by a passion that's looking to do what's best for most people in the time. Positive psychological attitudes such as enthusiasm, confidence, and patience, I believe, are further enhanced spiritual wisdom. They are not exclusively spiritual, but powerful tools to help us in
There was talk today to check the carriers there.
It's a decision which was dreaded by the royal family. Prince Andrew is now facing a civil trial in the United States over allegations that he sexually assaulted Virginia Giuffre, who was 17 at the time. He completely denies those claims. I've been talking to Gloria Allred, who's been representing several of Jeffrey Epstein's accusers. How much reaction to this has she had from her colleagues?
They're very interested, many of them are, in this case. Many of them who wish to file lawsuits against Jeffrey Epstein did not have the opportunity to confront him in a court of law because he died. So it now appears that Virginia will have her day in court.
How would you assess the likelihood of there being a settlement rather than it going to full trial?
Well, I've been doing civil lawsuits for 47 years, and some of them, the claims that we have pursued against powerful men. So we know what it is to fight the good fight for victims, and we like victims to have access to justice.
If the case does go to trial, do you think that Prince Andrew himself will be present? Would it be to his advantage or not, do you think?
Well, in terms of his deposition, that is his testimony under oath, that is generally taken in a law office prior to the trial, that could be taken in the UK, and it would be videoed by a videographer, and that could be used in the trial in lieu of Prince Andrew having to appear in a court of law in New York. However, a jury would generally like to see the defendant sit at the trial, at the counsel table, with his lawyers. You know, because often jurors feel, well, if they have to sit there for 2 weeks or a month or however long the trial is scheduled for, you know, why is the defendant not bothering to show up?
In terms of the next stages of the legal process, what are we likely to see there?
Virginia's attorneys can do what we call propound interrogatories. In other words, written questions sent to Prince Andrew through his lawyers, of course. He can do the same to Virginia. That is, his attorneys can propound interrogatories, written questions to her that she has to answer. So, electronic documents can be requested. So, for example, emails, texts, cell phone records, flight records, hotel records, scheduling records, so that the attorneys can try to put together the pieces of puzzle to see where Prince Andrew was, where she was, where others were. He may or may not decide to assert the Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination. and declined to answer certain questions. If he feels, that is, Prince Andrew feels, that it might tend to incriminate him.
Gloria, all right. Well, what about the defence case? I've been talking to Julia Rendelman, a criminal defence attorney based in New York, and a former prosecutor herself. Does she think that Prince Andrew will appeal against this ruling?
Yes, I think they'll appeal. I think they'll at least try to appeal. I don't think they'll be successful. And keep in mind that when they appeal, the appellate court has to accept that they're even going to review it, and they may very well not be willing to do that.
So, assuming the appeal, if it takes place, is unsuccessful, what's likely to happen next?
So I think, Prince Andrew has a couple options. None of the options are the best options for him. The first, obviously, is that he can settle. He can agree to a monetary settlement with the complainant. The problem with that, obviously, is there's reputational damage that goes along with it and money that goes along with it. Although many would say that his reputation has been damaged already, so I'm not sure a settlement would change that. The other option is to simply ignore it, get a default judgment, which I think would be a very ridiculous decision on his part, because there would be a finding against him. And then the last option, which would be to go to trial, to fight the case in court with the jury making a determination as to whether or not he committed the acts that the complainant said he did.
And is it possible in a trial that he could plead the Fifth Amendment? We've just been hearing that possibility.
I don't really see that happening in this setting. I guess he could, although I can't imagine, based on, first of all, the statute of limitations, that would be what he would end up doing in the first instance.
Now, I guess we should remind ourselves that unlike the Maxwell case, this isn't a criminal suit, so the bar for evidence is different, isn't it?
Absolutely. When we think about a criminal case, we think about the prosecutor having to prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt. And that is a very, very high standard. In this case, it's still a high standard, but instead it's more likely than not that it happened. And so that's a much lower threshold than it would be in a criminal setting.
Virginia Giuffre's lawyer has been talking to the BBC Newsnight programme, and he says that she doesn't have a firm view as to what the solution should be. What's going to be important is this resolution vindicates her and vindicates the claims she's made. What do you think of that?
Anytime you go to trial, there is a risk you will lose. The jury could not like her. The jury could find her not credible. And so when there is the possibility of a settlement, sometimes it's hard to resist that settlement. Now, my guess is one of the things they're saying is the only way they'll settle is if there's an admission of wrongdoing on the part of Prince Andrew, and I'm not sure that we're ever going to get there. And so sometimes there's compromise that's involved in making a decision whether it's worth it to go to trial or whether it's worth it to settle, where neither side gets exactly what they want, but they meet somewhere in the middle.
Julie Rendelman, thank you for talking to us.
3 minutes to 8, what has the weather got in store for us? Chris Fox.
Nick, well, we're looking at quite a quiet weather day today with high pressure across the south of England influencing the weather across all of the UK. It is bringing some mild air around the high pressure, particularly into Scotland. That's where the temperatures will be at the highest today, locally as high as 13 degrees. Now for England and Wales, it's a cold start to the morning. We've got a widespread frost, temperatures down to about -3 in parts of Oxfordshire and Hampshire. We've also got some dense patches of fog, visibility down to 100 metres in places, so some tricky travelling conditions just for a time. Now, for the most part, that fog's going to lift fairly readily through the morning. I think for most of us, it's a fine day with lots of sunshine, not a great deal of cloud around. The exception to that really is across northwest England, where we do have a layer of thicker cloud, along with mist and fog. And I think it will probably stay quite cloudy, even quite murky for some throughout the day. However, temperatures, whether it's cloudy or sunny today, England and Wales quite widely reaching a high of around 8 degrees. For Northern Ireland, it stays mainly cloudy today. Might just see a few breaks coming in through the afternoon. It stays dry, temperatures 7 degrees Celsius here. And for Scotland, well, western and northern areas will stay rather cloudy. The cloud thick with an occasional spit of drizzle, although no great amounts today. Quite windy for the Western Isles, gusts here 40 miles an hour, some 50 mile an hour gusts into Shetland, where there will be some rain working in towards the very end of the day. But those brisk winds will break up the cloud, and across East Scotland, that's where we'll see the best of the day's sunshine. 9 or 10 degrees widely today in Scotland, but around Murray we should see temperatures as high as 13. That's the latest.
Thanks, Chris. Now, Sundays are a time for a chat and a cuppa with herself here on Radio 4.
Hello there, this is Mary.
And I'm Tara Flynn.
And together we present
Now You're Asking.
In each episode we make your problems
Our problems. Try to make molehills from your mountains.
we read your emails, listen to your woes, and do our best to help and hopefully help some other people along the way. For example, do you wish you were French?
Or have you ever been left out of a will?
So join us for love,
Laughs.
lies,
Life.
and death
Now You're Asking.
on BBC Radio 4 and BBC Sounds on Sunday evenings at 7:15.
Coming up in the next hour, the future of Boris Johnson and how a 2,000-year-old wooden figure from Roman times has been hailed as rare and in remarkable condition. And we'll hear from the acting US ambassador to the UK on that confrontation with Russia.
You're listening to Today with Nick Robinson in Salford and Martha Carney in London. It's 8 o'clock on Thursday, the 13th of January. The headlines this morning. Boris Johnson remains under pressure to resign, with a number of Conservatives not satisfied with his apology for attending a drinks party at Downing Street during the first lockdown. Novak Djokovic has been named in the draw for the Australian Open. It's still unclear if he'll be deported from the country. There are calls for tougher action to deal with companies that pollute England's rivers. And Ronald Spector, the lead singer of the 1960s group The Ronettes, has died. The BBC News is read by Charles Campbell.
There are growing calls within Conservative ranks for the Prime Minister to resign. He apologised for attending a drinks party in the Downing Street garden during lockdown. The leader of the Tories in Scotland, Douglas Ross, as well as several Westminster MPs, have urged Boris Johnson to step down, but Cabinet Ministers have defended him, saying that MPs should wait for the outcome of an investigation by a senior civil servant. This report from our chief political correspondent, Adam Fleming.
The cabinet operation to shore up the Prime Minister continues this morning with varying degrees of enthusiasm, but it's causing tension within the Conservative Party after the leader of the House of Commons, Jacob Rees-Mogg, turned on the Tories' Scottish leader Douglas Ross, who had called for the Prime Minister to resign.
Douglas Ross has always been quite a lightweight figure, so I don't think that his...
Sorry, hang on. The leader of the Scottish Conservatives, an MSP and an MP is a lightweight figure.
I think the Scottish Secretary is a much more substantial and important figure in this.
Only 4 Conservative MPs have called for the Prime Minister to go. The majority are reserving judgment until the publication of the report on lockdown-breaking parties in Whitehall being prepared by the senior civil servant Sue Gray. Boris Johnson received lukewarm support from the leader of a group of Northern MPs, Jake Berry, who said the Prime Minister's apology allowed him to keep leading the country until a verdict was delivered. The Conservative Police and Crime Commissioner for Cumbria said he'd consider resigning if he was in the Prime Minister's position, but that he shouldn't be investigated by the police.
The Shadow Housing Secretary Lisa Nandy told this programme that despite his apology, Mr Johnson should still step down.
It's just simply not good enough that we've got a Prime Minister who even still now will not come clean with the public about something as serious as this. That's why we're calling for him to go.